any of the questions that you might have about living on campus, or excuse me, about summer orientation, which registration is right around the corner. So we'll be in the chat answering any questions that you might have. Feel free to ask them while we're going through the session, or at the end when we do a Q&A. So anything is totally fine. If we're unable to get to your question, know that we'll be reaching out to you after the session as well. But we'll go ahead and get started. We'll jump right to our first colleague with Texas One Stop.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I hope you guys are excited to talk about money, or at least the money side of going to college, because that's my thing. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with objectives. So we're going to go over cost of attendance, how to apply for financial aid, checking the status of it, the timeline, Texas Advanced Commitment, which is the program that helps cover tuition, and then other types of financial aid. Next. Oh, perfect. Okay. So first things first, cost of attendance is a combined cost of tuition, housing, dining, book supplies, everything. So there's tuition or tuition and fees, and then room and board, books and supplies, transportation, personal expenses. Now, the parts of cost of attendance that you need to really focus on the most, or that I want you to focus on the most, are tuition and fees and housing and dining. Everything else kind of comes throughout the semester, or they're things that you have control over. So for instance, personal expenses, that's shoes and shampoo. That's things you're already paying for. So don't panic about that. Transportation, actually you get free public transportation on campus, but transportation is, those are things that you have control over, or also probably things that you're also already paying for. Next, please. Okay, so tuition prices vary. They vary by department. Now, by department, I need the college within UT that you're planning on attending. So like McCombs, College of Liberal Arts, etc. Residency status. So whether if you're an out-of-state student versus if you're an in-state student, that is going to have a significant effect on your tuition. And then if you're going to do fixed rate or flat rate. Now, we can't really give you estimates, but we have this amazing cost of attendance calculator, which is my best friend when I was applying to grad school and things like that. It gives you an estimate, not just only on your tuition, but on just on your entire cost of attendance, hence the term cost of attendance calculator. Okay, so qualifying for financial aid. For federal aid, you have to be a US citizen, you have to have a high school diploma or equivalent. You must be registered for selective service, have a valid social security number. Those are the big things that I want you, that are what you need to have to qualify for federal financial aid, but you don't necessarily need to worry about those things specifically. All you need to do is do the FAFSA or the TAFSA, and then we worry about what financial aid you're eligible for. Next, please. Qualifying for state financial aid. So you don't necessarily need to be a US citizen, you just need to be a Texas resident. But again, you just do the FAFSA or the TAFSA and we help you figure that out, but we'll get to that next. So my roots as a financial aid counselor have me wanting to talk about this all day long, but here it goes. So the FAFSA and the TAFSA are the most important part. So the FAFSA stands for the free application for federal student aid. You start at FAFSA.gov, but honestly, if you just Google the term FAFSA, it should be the first link that pops up, but just be careful. You fill this out and we use it as a guideline to package you for financial aid. Now, if you're a US citizen, you'll do the FAFSA. If you're just a Texas resident, then you're going to do the TAFSA, which is the next slide, please. Okay, so the TAFSA stands for the Texas Application for State Financial Aid. You can start at College for All Texans. But again, you just search the term TAFSA and it should be one of the first links that comes up. You're going to do one or the other. You're going to either do the FAFSA or the TAFSA. You're not going to do both. We'd like you to get them in before the January 15th deadline. So essentially, both the TAFSA and the FAFSA open up on October 1st, I believe. And then They're open year round. We accept them year round on a rolling basis. However, we'd like our students to get them in before January 15th because that is the priority deadline for the state of Texas, which means we can prioritize you for financial aid. Next, please. All right, so when will you hear about your financial aid? We typically package incoming freshmen mid-March. Last year it was pretty late due to the pandemic delays. This year we actually just recently packaged a bunch of freshmen. So generally March, April, you check your cash page, which you can access via your UT Direct. When we package you for financial aid, we send you something called a financial aid notification, and that you access through your cash page, which you access via your UT Direct. But you can start on your My Status page. And I know that's a lot of terms, but just start with the My Status page, which I believe we'll go over a little bit more later. And that will kind of get you where you need to go. Or you can start with UT Direct. Next, please. Okay, so accepting your financial aid notification. Again, you access it via your cash page. You just click activate your financial aid notification. It's going to give you a breakdown of your financial aid package, your scholarships and grants, loans and work study if you're eligible for those, and just how you can, it allows you to update your enrollment and do other types of disclosures and things like that. So again, you're going to start on your cash page to activate your FAN, and your cash page you can access via your UT Direct. Next. Okay, so I'm sure many of you have heard whispers or rumors of free tuition at UT, and they're not just rumors, it's a real program, but it works a little different than just the term free tuition. So the Texas Advance Commitment. Next slide, please. So what is it? It allows us to, it is a program or a concept here at the university that allows us to help students get their degree. We do not want finances to come in the way of you getting your degree, right? So this allows us to help cover the tuition and fees for all students, assuming they qualify. Next, please. So you must be a Texas resident. You must submit a FAFSA or a TAFSA. You must be enrolled full time. You must be maintain. It says maintain a 2.0 GPA, but I just like to think, I just tell my students to think of it as you must be doing well in school. And it's a 4-year award or 3 years for transfer students. Now, you don't necessarily need to worry about any of this. You just need to do the FAFSA or the TAFSA, and we will package you for financial aid, and we will apply the Texas Advance Commitment, assuming you're eligible for it. Next, please. Okay, so how it works. So the Texas Advance Commitment will be awarded to close the gap of what is not being covered for tuition. So for example, let's say a student has $2,500 for a ULN scholarship and a $2,500 for a Texas grant, but their tuition is $5,291. Then the student will receive an extra $291 of the UT award to ensure tuition is covered. So another important aspect of this is to understand that if you bring in scholarships, like outside scholarships, then we're going to apply those first and then cover the gap between those outside scholarships and what your tuition is cost. So only so much can be stacked on each other with the Texas Advance Commitment. There's 2 tiers, so students who come from families with an AGI of $65,000 or less qualify for full tuition coverage, and tier 2, students who have an AGI of $65,000 to $125,000 qualify for tuition assistance. So that's generally Texas Advance Commitment. It's a little complex. It's a bit more than just the concept of free tuition, but again, you don't need to worry about it. All you need to do is do the FAFSA or the TAFSA as soon as possible, and then we'll package you for financial aid. Next, please. Okay, so types of financial aid at UT Austin include university scholarships and private scholarships, grants, work study programs, and loans. Next, please. Okay, so university scholarships. So the good thing is you qualify for you're already putting your name in the hat for a lot of scholarships just by applying. And if there's anything specific that needs to be done for those scholarships, you're going to see that on the amazing My Status portal. So make sure you monitor that after you submit your admissions application. Next, please. Okay, so there's institutional scholarships and private scholarships. Institutional includes merit and need-based, freshman scholarship application, continuing and transfer student scholarship application, and a handful of other scholarships, which we'll go over just within the umbrella of the university. And then private scholarships include an array of things. I'm going to get to that. Next, please. Okay, so first things first. I like to think of financial aid, or at least for freshmen, I like them to think of financial aid as three big branches: FAFSA and TAFSA, department scholarships, and private scholarships. So college and department scholarships are one of the big chunks that I'd like you to focus on. So when I say departmental scholarships, I mean the college within UT that you're applying to. So if you're applying to McCombs, spend some time on the McCombs business page. If you're applying to Cockrell, spend some time on the Cockrell School of Engineering website. There are fellowships, out-of-state tuition waivers, all types of buckets of funding that only the departments have control over. So there's funding to be had there. Spend some time there. Don't miss out on the opportunity. Next, please. So a handful of scholarships. I'm going to go over just a few of our very exclusive scholarships here, just to give you guys an idea of the different programs. The first one is what used to be called our Presidential Scholars. Now it's the Texas Excellence Scholarship, because we love tongue twisters here. It's about 350 incoming freshmen. It's about $5,000 annually. It's a program, so it's a community of scholars. Next, I believe, is the ULN. Similar, it's about 500 freshmen each year, $5,000 annually. And what's unique about this scholarship program is it's a monthly check that students get. So it's really cool. Next, please. Impact Scholars is very exclusive. It's about 30 new Longhorns, $12,000 per year over 4 years. All three of these scholarships that I just went over, the Impact Scholars, the Texas Excellence, and the ULN, they are programs. They are scholarships that once you get them, you maintain them, hence the concept of 4 years. Once you get them, you keep them, assuming you do well in school and you behave yourself on campus, kind of thing. Just something to keep in mind. Next, please. Okay, so private scholarships. These are some Texas Exit scholarships. Is one of our more common private scholarships. You may have heard of the 40 Acres Scholarship Program. That's through Texas Exits. They are our alumni association. So spend some time on their website, which you see listed here. They've got some great opportunities. Next, I believe, is the Terry Foundation. It is more nomination-based than it is application-based, but still check out their website because they are a donor that pops up often. My favorite part is the check your local community part. I see so many scholarship checks come across my desk that are from like local Rotary clubs and just these little like associations within these small communities of Texas that I've never heard of and I've learned so much about just through scholarship checks. But the point is, there is funding to be had within your local community. So I like to say, think outside the box within your local community. Like check with your places of worship, check with your high school guidance counselor, your parents' place of employment, grandparents' place of employment, etc. There's opportunities out there, trust me. Next, please. A great place, if you don't know where to start when it comes to searching for scholarships, the internet is always a great place to start. Just be careful where you go because there are scams out there. So the websites you see listed here are great places to start to search for scholarships. FastWeb is probably my favorite. Next, please. Okay, so types of financial aid on a federal level. Pell Grant, work study, and student loans. So Pell Grant is exactly what it is. It's a grant. Grants, you do not have to pay back. They are gift money, or what we in the industry call free money. work study, which is employment on campus. So if you're awarded work study, those are not funds that are automatically going to disperse to you. If you're awarded work study, if you see work study in your financial aid package when you get your financial aid notification, that means you're only going to access that money by getting a job on campus. Work study comes to you in a monthly paycheck. I love all the work studies in my office. They've learned so much, and some of them are graduating and going up to do big things. And it's not just money, it's a learning opportunity. Work study is very near and dear to my heart. Loans. So federal direct student loans, those are loans in the student's name for the student's education. Parent Plus loans are loans for the student's education in the parent's name. So if you are awarded Parent Plus loan, that's a conversation you're going to have with your parent. Just something to keep in mind. Next, please. So state financial aid includes the Texas grant and the Texas Public Education grant. For both of these, you must be a Texas resident. The Texas grant is about $2,500 per semester. Again, you don't need to worry about the eligibility for these. You just do the FAFSA or the TAFSA, and we package you for financial aid. Next, please. Okay, private student loans. We in the financial aid office like this to be your last option for funding your education. Private student loans are when you go out to a lending institution or a bank and you secure a loan that funds your education. They involve high interest rates, credit approval, long processing times. If you want to do it, we are here for it. We will help you process it and navigate just the protocol in general. However, there are so many other options before that. That's why we like to consider it a last resort. Next, please, is tuition exemptions and waivers. So these are exactly what they're called. They help just neutralize the cost of tuition. I'm not sure why I use the term neutralize, but anyway, they help exempt or waive the cost of tuition and fees. These are things you either qualify for or you don't. So spend some time on the catalog. If you qualify for them, follow the directions on what you need to do to receive them. But other than that, move on, spend your time looking for outside and departmental scholarships, because again, exemptions and waivers are things you either qualify for or you don't. Next, please. This is the timeline. The most important part of this, as far as financial aid concern, is the FAFSA. October 1st, it becomes available. We'd like you to get it in by January 15th, because that's the priority deadline. Again, you're going to do either the FAFSA or the TAFSA. And then we try and package students around mid-March or late March. Next, please. These are some resources for FAFSA, TAFSA. There's the link to your cash page. So the cash page is the thing you're going to want to monitor when it comes to looking for your financial aid notification. Again, you can access it via your UT Direct, or you can just start with that link right there. And next, I believe, is the contact information to our office. So I'm going to start monitoring the chat and going through all your questions, but I doubt I'll be able to get through all of them. And some of them will be too specific that I just can't answer here. So please, first thing tomorrow, call our office, email our office, or use the live chat on our website. It's the little Bevo bot, the image that you see there. And I believe that is all for me right now. I believe Ryan in housing is next. Thank you, guys.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Colvin. I'm the Assistant Director for Occupancy Management for the Housing and Dining Office. Next slide. For campus living, a lot of institutions have a first-year requirement for the freshmen coming in to live on campus. University of Texas at Austin does not have a first-year requirement. We have about 7,300 beds on campus, and our incoming classes are typically around 8,000 or more. And because of that discrepancy between the class size and our housing inventory. We don't require freshmen to live on campus. We do believe it's very important for freshmen to live on campus. There's a lot of transitional issues and concerns that rise from students leaving high school, coming into college. A lot of things and decisions being made without the network and support of a family and things like that. So having resources that are provided on campus, provided within the residence halls and our staff, is a real benefit to a lot of our students. We see a lot of that translate to our students graduating within 4 years at a higher rate, and our retention of our freshmen from their freshman year to their sophomore year being a little bit higher for students that live on campus than those that live off. There is a lot of private options off campus, a lot of apartments and private dormitories that exist off campus. So it's not like you can't find housing if you don't live on campus. But because you have that choice, I'm going to talk a little bit for a couple seconds on why we think you should consider living on campus. We put a lot of resources into the safety of our students, whether that's the ID cards to get into the building and onto the residential floor. We keep 24-hour desks and have emergency call numbers that are staffed for students that might have needs throughout the day and night. Our staff make rounds through the building. We have a great relationship with our police department. So there's a lot of safety measures that we put in place to help our students see and feel the safety measures that are there. I think the biggest thing I'd like to sell on, although there are some academic benefits, I mean, we do support the academic initiative of the university. We do spend resources on tutoring, and we have living learning communities that are academic based. We do bring faculty into our halls to interact with the students. There's a lot of those measures going in, but really want to talk about the big difference would be that experience you get living on campus. Being surrounded by other students, kind of going through that same journey at the same time as you, having staff in the buildings to provide programming and helping students get to know each other within the floors, within the building, and helping students get plugged into campus. There's a lot of things that our staff are trained to do to help our students navigate that first year successfully. So really want you to know that we do our research. We know why students retained at the institution and a lot of the reasons that they're not. And we put a lot of resources into helping our students be successful, not only within the classroom, but within the institution as a whole. We know that engagement and networking is very important. So we spend a lot of time and effort helping students get connected with their roommate, getting connected with the other students on the floor, and helping them find some of those organizations and opportunities on campus. And that's a lot of resources you'll find within the residence halls that you won't find when living off campus. Next slide. So the application process, for a lot of you, you probably already applied for housing. If you haven't, that's okay. There's still opportunities to live within the residence halls. We keep our application process open throughout the entire summer. We prioritize the incoming freshman class. We try to hold enough spaces for what we anticipate the incoming freshman class to contract with us. So if you are interested in living with us, there's going to be a contract available for you. We do send contracts out basically as soon as you apply and you've accepted your admission to UT. So not a deadline to apply by. There is a priority that we do put on the housing application date. So as far as when we go into doing the room selection process later in the summer, we put you in order based on that housing application date. But there's no deadline to apply. There's no, like, if you didn't apply by February or March or April, you don't get a housing contract. You'll get a housing contract. But as far as what you'll see in the room selection process will be impacted by your housing application date. There is a housing application fee of $50. So do know that that's not refundable. So if you are putting that money in at this point, you're already admitted. So there's not a lot of kind of going back and forth on whether or not you should apply. If you feel like you should apply, that $50 is non-refundable. So just know that when you do make that decision. Next slide. The contract process. That's where a lot of students are right now. We started that process on March 1st. We've started sending contracts out to people that, like I said, have completed the housing application and have accepted their UT admission. When we say accept the UT admission, we're talking about paying that $200 enrollment deposit and clicking the accept button within the My Status page. For us, we don't reward or penalize people based on the date that they do their contract. We try to actually make it a very stress-free process, as far as if you make your UT decision on March 1st or May 1st by the deadline, you're still going to get the housing contract. and rooms aren't filling up as people contract, we're still going to wait until June 1st to do room selection. So all we're doing right now is just trying to get everybody signing their housing contracts. And that means that if you're making decisions based on financial aid notices coming out, or maybe you're hearing from other schools on April 1st, that's not going to impact what rooms you'll see in the room selection process. It won't impact whether or not you'll get a contract. Just know that we got a contract ready for you. We're just waiting on you to make that UT decision, but there's no pressure to do that. Everything's based on that housing application date. Nothing is based on the contract signature date. So we get that question a lot. Just want to make sure that that's clear for students as they're making that decision. There is a $300 prepayment for the contract. So that is something that you would pay when you get the contract offer and you're ready to sign it. The contracts are offered via email every Monday. So once you make your UT decision, there won't be a contract coming at you the next day. We're typically sending them in batches every Monday. And then on May 2nd and May 3rd, we'll send contracts out for those students that do their acceptance of the university by that May 1st deadline. Next slide. So after you've completed the contract, you typically have 10 days to sign your contract and make the prepayment. But after you've made that, you'll have continuous access to kind of access some of the profile pages and LLC application pages and building preferences. So all these pages come after you do the contract. The roommate profile, I think I saw someone had asked about when the deadline is for roommates. The roommate process is something that you'll want to try to have wrapped up before we get into room selection in June. So I would say try to have your roommates figured out before you do room selection. So you might do room selection mid-June or towards the end of June. But as like a common point, I would say by the first week of June, having roommates kind of settled at that point would help you in the room selection process. Roommate profiles is just like 8 questions, very general about, going to bed, waking up, social life, things of that nature, just trying to get a feel for the roommate with a few questions that they self-identify the answers to. You have the ability to look students up by those question answers. You can look them up by college and major as well, and then send messages to try and form roommate groups, kind of like Facebook. You send a request for a roommate, and then the roommate goes in and confirms the request, and then you're paired. And then when you go into the room selection process, if you're paired as a roommate group, one person can select the room for both students. So it works, I think, pretty well for the students to form groups and live together. Selecting your building preferences, that's something you can do as well. You get to put up to 5 building preferences. Do note that that has no bearing on the room selection process. So you'll see all the building options when you do room selection. The building preference is more for us. If the student doesn't go in and pick a room, we know what their preferences were, and we can go in on the back end and do the room assignment for them. Living learning communities, there is a deadline for that. I think it's May 3rd for the ones that you apply for within our portal. There are some other ones that are more academic based that have earlier deadlines. So kind of read through the living learning communities page and look at the deadlines, look at the websites as you do those application processes. Next slide. Room selection will be in June. Typically it's the second week, starts in the second week and lasts about 10 days. And you'll get an email in May that has your date and your room assignment or room selection time slot. So it'll be a day and a time that you have to start your access to do room selection. There'll be links to our floor plan, so you can kind of see where a room's situated within the building. There'll be links to our 3D images that we just got put on our website. I think, boy, it was real recent, like last Monday or this Monday or last Friday. I think it was last Friday. But great new images to kind of do like a virtual-ish tour of our spaces and room types. So there'll be a link to those, and then hopefully have resources for everybody, the room rates, so that you can kind of make choices as you're doing room selection to pick that best room for you. Roommates can assign each other to rooms. You can form roommate groups of 2, 3, and 4. So if you're wanting to live in a traditional double room with someone, you would do the group of 2. But we do have some triples. We also have those connecting suites where there's 2 bedrooms connected to a bathroom, and you can form groups of 3 or 4 to assign a group of students to 2 sets of room that are connected to the same bathroom. Next slide. And these are our rates. Right now, we don't have the next year rates posted on the website. We are dangerously close to having them approved and being able to post them up. It's a little later than typical for us this year, but with COVID, a lot of things have been kind of affected, including our timeline for posting some things. So what we put on this slide is the rate for this year, and just know that that rate could fluctuate. And maybe they'll approve no rate increase and it'll be the same. But typically we see something like a 3% to 5% increase on a rate from year to year. So that's kind of the least it would be for our shared room with our community bath. That's the most typical space we have on campus. And that rate includes staying with us from August all the way through May, and then includes the utilities, our internet, our cable, laundry. So we have unlimited access to laundry now. So you don't have to use coins or Bevo Pay for laundry. You can just go in and use. And then it also comes with our unlimited meal plans. So that's go into our buffet style dining centers and swipe as many times as you want. And we keep it open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. on the weekends. So just access to food whenever you want. And as soon as we get the 21-22 rates published on the website, we'll send an email out to all of our contracted students and say like, hey, we posted our rates, go visit the website and take a look at them. If you are choosing to live off campus, I do want to promote the commuter meal plans and Bevo Pay. Commuter meal plans allow you to swipe. I think you can buy them in packages of 25 and 50 meal swipes. So you can go to our buffet style dining center and have up to 25 swipes or 50 swipes. We also have an unlimited commuter plan. So if you're going to be on campus 5 days a week and maybe eat 2 meals a day, then that unlimited commuter meal plan might be a great option for you. And then Bevo Pay is just money on your card. So dollar for dollar, I put money on my UTID card that allows me to eat within the dining halls on campus, but also we have like 100 vendors off campus as well that take it. A lot of fast food places, CVS, Walgreens, places like that. You also, anything you print on campus, I think you have to use Bevo Pay for. There's ways to pay for tutoring with Bevo Pay. The on-campus pharmacy and the bookstore uses Bevo Pay. So something that you might be interested in looking at, whether you live on or off campus, to put Bevo Pay on your student card. Next slide. Last, and hopefully something you're not overly considering, but I do want you to know about, is contract cancellations. You might find out that you're going to go to another school that you didn't plan on doing at first when you signed your housing contract and accepted your admission to UT. And if that happens, that's okay. If you cancel your housing contract by May 1st and you are not planning on enrolling at UT and you've kind of declined your admission to UT, if you do that, we will give you the $300 prepayment back. If you do cancel your contract, but you still plan on attending UT, there will be a cancellation fee. Now, we made the cancellation fee $300 to match the $300 prepayment. So we would just take that prepayment you made and we would apply it to the cancellation fee. And then you would cancel your contract. You can cancel your contract for any reason prior to move in. So you don't even have to tell us why. You just have to ask to cancel your contract. If you tell us after July 1st, the cancellation fee goes up to $500. If you notify us after August 1st, it goes up to $1,000. Really trying to discourage students from canceling late. We do have limited bed spaces on campus. We don't want those taken up by people that aren't planning on coming and wait too long to let us know to open it up to other students. So that cancellation fee does go up as you get later into the summer. But that's our cancellation policy. Just want to make students aware of that as they're going into the summer. And I think that's my last slide. I'll turn it over to orientation, new student services.
Hello, everyone. I'm Katie Sullivan from New Student Services. My colleague, Emmy Edwards, and I are here to tell you all about orientation. And Miranda is in the chat to answer any of your questions. So feel free to drop them there as we're going along, or we have question and answer at the end. So we'll go to our first slide here. We are so excited to welcome you to the Longhorn family this summer with orientation. It is required for everyone, so you just have to pick a session and we will get you all set up. For freshmen, it is 3 days. It's been designed to be as informational, as helpful as possible. Our goal is to obviously provide you with all the resources you need to succeed academically, socially, and really just thrive during your 4 years on campus with us. Next slide. The best way we have found to do this is to break orientation up into 2 parts. So the first part that we will talk about is online Canvas modules. These are kind of do as you go. You will get an email about 10 days before your scheduled orientation session, letting you know that Canvas modules are now open for you, and you can just do them at your own pace. There's a bunch of pre-recorded videos that will really start to give you the information you'll need for when you come to campus. The second part of that is during those 3 days that you register for that I mentioned, where you have an interactive experience, where you'll connect with your college, your academic advisors, our OAs who are phenomenal peer leaders, and of course, all of your classmates. So the pre-orientation modules, like I said, are available 10 days prior. You will get an email with a link so you'll know how to access them and when they're available to you. Both of the pre-orientation modules and orientation sessions are hosted in Canvas, and this really serves as a great introduction for you to the platform because you'll be using these throughout your time at UT for classroom instruction and support from your professors and such. So some of the things you will learn in these pre-recorded modules are helpful programs and resources to lead you to academic success, different departments and ways you can get involved on campus, support services offered to you, and of course, campus safety. Now I will turn it over to Emmy, who will tell you about the interactive portion.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Katie. Like Katie mentioned, my name is Emmy Edwards, coordinator with New Student Services. And just to reiterate her excitement and also the excitement of Ryan and Maria, we are so pumped that y'all are here. So excited for you to start your journey at UT Austin and join the Longhorn community. So a little bit on orientation. So the second part of our program is a live experience that occurs over 3 days for freshman students. And like Katie mentioned, all sessions will occur virtually to ensure safety. So you'll register specifically for a 3-day session, and you should be prepared to block off those days to your orientation experience. So orientation is all about getting in that Longhorn state of mind. So you'll do this in a number of ways by learning about life at UT, getting ready for classes and registering for classes, and getting to know other new Longhorns. So it's a really exciting experience, and we think you'll have a great time. So some of those things involved are on the next slide. So you'll meet with your academic college. You'll learn all about what it means to be a student in that college and how to be successful. You'll also be able to meet with other students in your college and start to imagine what you can do with your studies and plan out a bit of your future. You'll also meet individually with an academic advisor, which is on the next slide. So that's a one-on-one meeting with a full-time staff member who is an expert on all things classes in your college. So they'll help you map out your plan for the next semester to set you up to graduate on time. Then on the last day of your orientation session, you'll register for classes. So exciting. It really gets real, right? So in some classes, seats will be reserved so that students in each orientation session have a chance to register for these classes. So no matter which session you attend, there will be classes that you can register for that will fulfill your core requirements and keep you on track for graduation. So don't expect that you're going to have the quote unquote perfect schedule, because there's really no such thing. You should expect to be flexible with class days and times. There are a lot of great classes that meet on Friday at 8 a.m. Y'all, that's a great time to be a college student. So being open about professors and times and days will really help you maximize your options for courses. So beyond academic preparation, there are a ton of ways that you can take full advantage of your orientation experience. And one of those is getting to know your orientation advisors, or OAs are kind of how we refer to them. So OAs are current students who spend over 100 hours in training to prepare to welcome you to UT. They're in their training semester right now, and let me tell you, they're very pumped to get to know you. OAs will lead your small group discussions and be present at a ton of fun social programs throughout the 3-day experience, giving you the chance to get in that Longhorn state of mind by getting to know others and learning more about UT. Lastly, you'll also get to know other new students. So our encouragement to you is to put yourself out there during your orientation experience, because we've set a lot of really fun ways for you to get to know other people. So go to some fun events, like we have a game night, we have virtual pet shows. So you can show off your cat or your dog or your plant that you have near your desk, or our Zoom-mate matching event where you can make a little Zoom-mate who can be your buddy during orientation. And you can also get connected to others in your academic college. So there will be a virtual organization fair, and you'll get to know their staff from campus offices like student activities, multicultural engagement center, undergraduate research, rec sports, and so much more. So it's really a lot of fun. Like, I'm getting very excited and ready for you all just chatting about it. And so your next step before all this exciting good stuff is registering for orientation. And Katie is going to speak about that.
Thank you, Emmy. So registration opens tomorrow, and we are really excited to get the ball rolling with this, just as I'm sure you are excited to start planning your summer and your UT experience. Once the registration website opens, you get to choose which session you're going to attend. Obviously, they're on a first come, first served basis because seats do fill up. So we encourage you to try to do it as early as possible in order to get the session you want. But the really most important part of it all is to make sure you choose a session that your college or school is attending. As Emmy explained before, you're going to meet with your college and your advisor who's going to help you pick out classes. So you really need to make sure that you pick one that your school is also attending. If you cannot make a June or July session, or you find that the ones for your school are already full, we do have August sessions. However, that will not open until other sessions are full. So you cannot register for August until we've exhausted our options in June and July. So 2 important things to remember: register for a session that has your school in it, and only register for one session. You can't take up seats in both. You can switch if you decide you need to make a different date, but you can only register for one session at a time. And don't worry, families, we have an orientation for you too. That one is on the next slide. It is not run by New Student Services. That is run by Texas Parents, which is a different organization on campus. If you follow this link, parents.utexas.edu/family orientation, you can find out all about it. It's just a way to, help welcome you all to the Longhorn community as well. And so after all this, if you have any questions, we'll be here for Q&As at the end. You can also email us at nss@austin.utexas.edu or visit our website. We are also at UT Orientation on all social media platforms. And in addition to those main accounts, we do have a private Facebook group just for the class of 2025. We will drop that link for you in the chat. Make sure you use that link. That is the official group where you can already go in and start building relationships with your fellow classmates. And with that, we will keep an eye on the chat, answer any questions you have, and I will turn it back over to Alex.
All right. Well, thank you so much to our colleagues across campus. We're going to continue to answer some questions through Q&A. And again, we'll also keep monitoring the chat for any questions that you may have submitted there. But I wanted to make sure that you each knew about the ways to connect with the Office of Admissions. We'll also share our colleagues' contact information again. But just so you know, you can always connect with our general email addresses and phone number, or even any of our social media for the Office of Admissions. We also have regional centers in Dallas, Houston, and the Valley in Harlingen. So you're welcome to reach out to those offices as well. Any of us are here to help you. If after today you have a question and you're not sure which direction at UT to ask that question to, is that a one-stop question or is that a housing question, I'm just not sure, then you're always welcome to reach out to admissions and we can help you navigate campus until you get here. One of the awesome things about summer orientation is that once you're at summer orientation, you'll have a much better understanding of how to navigate campus. But until then, we're always here to kind of help guide you through that process. Next slide, please. All right, so again, New Student Services, the office that oversees summer orientation. You can connect with them. Texas One Stop does many things here on campus, but right now in terms of this presentation, scholarships and financial aid, as well as like that cost of attendance calculator that Maria was explaining, and then university housing and dining. So if you have any questions, again, reach out to one of these campus colleagues. We're all here to help you, and we can also help you, help direct you within the university as well. All right. I think with that, we'll go ahead and answer some of the questions. I did pull some questions while we were going through the presentation. Please feel free to continue dropping them in the chat. Again, if we aren't able to connect with you via this Q&A, I'll make sure to go through and answer any questions post the event as well. So first, I did want to reach out to Maria. I wrote down some questions that were asked in the chat. So Maria with Texas One Stop. The first question that we had was, we talked a lot about Texas Advanced Commitment. How does a student realize or know that they've received Texas Advanced Commitment? Where do they see that?
Great question. So there's actually not going to be any type of flag or notifier. You're not going to directly be told that you qualify for Texas Advanced Commitment. The way you know is when you receive your financial aid notification, if you have enough grants or scholarships or free money to cover your tuition or your estimated cost of tuition, that's how you know. The point of Texas Advanced Commitment is to cover tuition or cover as much tuition as the Department of Education lets us. So you look at your financial aid package, you see that you have enough free money to cover roughly your tuition. That's how you know. If you're really concerned about it, email or call our office. Should I answer the other questions, Alex?
Oh, that's great. So the next one we were going to ask, and this one came up, and we do this a lot as well at the Office of Admissions. Can you tell us a little bit more, what is best, fixed rate or flat rate? What's the difference in tuition, and how does a student know what to pick?
So great question. So there's traditional, and then there's what we call Longhorn fixed tuition. It's really a gamble. So if you're doing Longhorn fixed tuition, you're gambling that the tuition prices are going to go up. If you're doing traditional tradition, you're just kind of gambling that tuition prices are going to stay generally the same. It's really up to you and how you, I mean, it's really hard for me to advise on which one to do because it's, it really is kind of, playing the stocks. You're kind of taking a gamble, but it's up to you and your family which one you're going to do. Both have their upsides.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. And then I have one more question, and then we're going to move on to housing and dining. If a student accepts their financial aid notification, two questions. One, can they revise it at a later time? So for example, if they accepted loans, can they revise the amount? Or two, does that mean anything in terms of admissions? If they accept their financial aid award, does that mean that they're committing to the university?
Great question. So whenever you receive your financial aid notification, activate it. It does not mean you're committing to the university. It does not mean you're accepting your admission. It does not mean you're signing your soul away on the dotted line. It just means we're advising you on your financial aid. That's all. So please activate your financial aid notification as soon as you get it. It does not affect your admission, housing, anything else. It also does not deter or affect any future financial aid offers. The second part of the question was, yes, can you revise it? So yes, you can decline loans now and accept them later and vice versa. So let's say you accept all your loans now and it gets to the end of your first semester and you're like, hey, I didn't need all this loan money. I don't want to be on all this loan debt. You can actually write us a check for the loans that you actually didn't need, and we'll return it to the Department of Education as if you never had it in the first place. It's a really cool loophole.
Awesome. Thank you, Maria. All right, my next question is for Ryan in University Housing and Dining. First is what happens if you don't select a roommate? Like if you haven't found someone or you're just not interested in selecting a roommate, what happens?
And so, I mean, I guess it's kind of like a two-part question. So maybe you don't select one, but you're still interested in having some kind of say over who it is. In room selection, you get to see who's in each space when you sign up for a room. So if someone's assigned to bed space in a room that you're interested in, you can look at their profile ahead of time, maybe message them prior to selecting that room. So you can do a little bit of roommate shopping while you're looking for your room. The other thing is to do it blindly, right? Like I put myself in an empty room and I'm putting it on the other person to look for me and match with me. And we have plenty of students that do that. It's kind of like the elevator approach. They all spread out to the corners. Like I'm going to take this empty room until there's no empty rooms left. And then people start going in and putting themselves in places. I've always been of the mindset that I'd like to have a little bit more control over my destiny. So I like to do a little bit of searching ahead of time, whether that's getting into the Facebook group for the class of 25 and trying to seek people out, talking to people at your current high school that you know are going to UT and finding roommates ahead of time. Or, you know, that last option, which is when I select a room, I see 3 rooms on the floor. 1 is empty and 2 have roommates. I'm going to go to the 2 that have roommates and I'm going to look at those 2 first before I put myself in the empty room. And that's just my suggestion on how to navigate that process.
Thank you, Ryan. The next question might also be for Maria as well, but how does it work to pay for your residence hall? Is it a monthly bill like rent? Is it by semester? Is it by year? How do you actually pay for that?
Yeah, I'll cover that one. So we post the bill at the beginning of the semester. In previous years, we used to post it at the beginning of the academic year for the entire academic year. I think that was a little bit different this year, but mostly because of COVID. I don't know if we'll do that again where we post a semester bill at a time. So we put the full bill out and you can pay in 3 different options. You can pay the full academic year by September. It would be the 12th class day. You pay it by the 12th class day and then you're done for the academic year. A lot of students choose to pay it by semester. So you can pay half of the fall half of the bill by the 12th class day and then do the spring part of the bill by the 12th class day in the spring. And if you do that, there's no additional cost. And then there's a third option where you can break it into installment payments. And that's breaking up the semester amount into 3 equal payments and paying them in September, October, and November. And those due dates will be posted on our website once the rates go up for next year. And there's a $50 fee for doing installment payments for each semester. So like if you do your 3 installments for the fall, there's a $50 bill that'll show up on the October payment. And then in spring, if you're doing the installment for that as well, there'd be a $50 fee that you pay in the March installment payment. So if you don't pay the full semester balance by the 12th class day, you will be automatically enrolled in the installment plan. You don't even have to request it. You know, we do it based on your payment. If you pay the whole thing, no installments. You don't pay the full payment by that first due date, then you're automatically enrolled in the installment plan, and we add the $50 charge for that second installment.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ryan. All right, Katie and Emmy with New Student Services, two major questions. First, is there an advantage to going to an earlier orientation session? I think that was one of the most common questions that we're seeing in the chat, and then in addition in our inboxes in the Office of Admissions as well. So that would be a great one to hear.
Yeah, I could jump in there. So no matter the session you attend, you will be able to register for the classes that you need to stay on time for graduation. So if you're thinking like, oh my goodness, I want to be sure to get into these classes, so I should do early. There are classes that we hold that seats are held throughout the summer so that it's fair, so that everyone has access to those seats. So if you're thinking of which session should I attend, I would encourage you to just look at your schedule, your personal summer schedule, and see which date works best for you. Katie, anything else there?
No, that's all I was going to say is just don't be afraid to attend a later session thinking you're not going to get your classes. We've made it so that everyone has the opportunity.
For sure.
Wonderful. Thank you. And then a follow-up question. What is the fee to attend orientation? And how does a student request or know if they're eligible to have that fee deferred?
So it is $175 is your orientation fee. When you register, if you have a financial aid package in place, you will have a little like green bar at the top saying that you are able to defer that payment. And what that means is that, you know, just until you accept your financial aid package and that's all processed in our system, that fee is deferred until the money is there. And then you'll see that come out of your financial aid package.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, we are coming right up on time, everyone. I did want to offer just a final reminder that you have until May 1st to accept your admission here at the University of Texas at Austin. We do everything that we've talked about here, whether that be attending orientation or signing a housing contract, all of that is connected to accepting your admission. So your job right now is to ask us questions, reach out to our colleagues here on campus to find out any of those answers that you need in order to confidently make that decision by May 1st. Once you do that, then you can move forward with things like signing up for summer orientation where you'll accept your classes, signing a housing contract to solidify your space on campus, and so on. So the very next step would essentially be accepting that admission by May 1st. Until then, and after then, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Again, we shared our contact information, but all of the emails that you received about this event also come directly back to the Office of Admissions, so you can always reach out to us there. The last thing I want to mention is, again, congratulations. Welcome to the class of UT25. I also want to make sure that you saw the invitation to the UT25 celebration that is taking place a week from today. So please join us then. Let us know if you didn't receive your invitation, but check your mailbox and your email, and we hope to see you then. For those asking about the session, feel free to reply to your confirmation about this, and we'll make sure that you get the copy of this presentation. Congratulations again, hook 'em horns, and we hope to see you on campus this fall. Thank you. Have a good evening.